Hello everybody and welcome to the video notes for day 3 of our review. This video is going over problems 1 and problem 3. Let's start with number 1. And both of these problems have to do with unit rates. And what I want you to remember about a unit rate is how much for what? Or a unit rate might be asking you how many for what. So always think a unit rate is a certain amount for what. At a store, 4 bags of chips sold for $16. Determine if each statement has the same unit rate as the original statement or a different unit rate. Another way of saying what this is asking is, of each of these different items, which ones have the same unit rate as these chips? So if a unit rate is how much for one, we can first figure out what is the unit rate for 1 bag of chips if 4 bags cost $16. So if it's $16 for 4 bags, this means 16 divided by 4, because the fraction bar means divided. So you can think to yourself, what is 16 divided by 4? It is $4. So the unit rate for the chips it's $4 for 1 bag. So $4 for 1. That's the unit rate we're looking for. Let's check through each of these options. A jar of jam sold at $25 for 5. So that's $25 for 5. If I do the division, 25 divided by 5 is 5. That means it's $5 for 1. That's not the same as the $4 we want, so we know it's not going to be A. Let's look at B. Sandwiches sold at $22 for 3. So that's 22 divided by 3 to figure out how much for 1. And 3 does not go evenly into 22. And in this case, we don't even have to do the division, because we know 22 divided by 3 is not going to be 4. Right? It would have to be $12. 12 divided by 3 is 4. So already, even before we do the division, we know this is not going to equal 4. So B doesn't work. C, boxes of crackers sold at $32 for 8. So that's $32 divided by 8 to see how much for 1. 32 divided by 8 is 4. So this is going to be $4 for 1. That's the same unit rate as the chips. So this one works. This is the same. I'm sorry, we're circling for these ones. This one was different. This one was different. This one's the same. For D, watermelons sold at $8 for 2. We can do the division. $8 for 2. 8 divided by 2 is 4. So watermelons are $4 for 1. That's the same as the unit rate up here, so we would say this is the same unit rate. With this information, you should be able to use the same strategy to solve number 2. Now I'm going to move on to number 3, if you're not sure how to do that one. A car can travel 190 miles in 4 hours. How many miles can their car travel in 1 hour? So the unit rate this time we're figuring out, well, how many miles for 1 hour. And we can do the division. If it's 190 miles and it goes 4 hours, that's the same thing as 190 divided by 4 to figure out how much in 1. And in this one, we are going to have to use some long division. And I want you to practice the long division because you are going to see a problem like this on your test on Monday, and you won't be able to use a calculator. So you will have to practice the division. So 190 divided by 4, let's set that up. 190 divided by 4. So first, I think to myself, can 4 go into 1? It can't, so I go out some more. Can 4 go into 19? All right, it can. How many times? Well, 4 times 4 is 16. 4 times 5 is 20. That's too many. So it's got to be 4 up here above the 9. And then I multiply. 4 times 4 is 16. I'll subtract 16. 9 minus 6 is 3. I'll bring down the 0. Then I think to myself, how many times can 4 go into 30? Well, 4 times 7 is 28. 4 times 8 is 32. That's too many, so it has to be 7. And we multiply the 7 times the 4. 7 times 4 is 28, so we'll subtract 28 here. 30 minus 28 is 2. And since I still have a remainder and I want to get a decimal as my answer, what I can do is I can add a decimal at the very end here. And if I add a decimal there, I also have to add a decimal right above. And then I can add a 0. I can add as many zeros after the decimal as I need to until I get no remainder. Now I can bring this 0 down and think to myself, how many times can 4 go into 20? 5 times. And then 5 times 4 is 20. 20 minus 20 is 0. No more remainder. I'm all done. So my final answer, how many miles can the car go in 1 hour? It can go 47.5 miles in 1 hour. There's my answer. Now you can use this strategy for number 4.